Far away in the dark cold of space, a quiet cry echoed. It was weak, but clear, a signal from a dying galaxy. A galaxy that had seen better days, now fading fast. The message was simple. Help us. Please. Many great civilizations heard the call. They listened, but no one answered. The signal passed from one star system to another. It reached the ears of powerful empires, curious explorers, and quiet observers. But all turned away. Some said the message was a trap. Others said it was too late. Some just did not want to get involved. On Earth, the signal slipped past busy satellites and crowded communication centers. Earth was a planet of peace now, or so the world thought. Its people focused on building a better life. Space travel had slowed. Old wars were stories, not reality. But far from the cities, deep underground in a hidden base, something old began to stir. The base was buried inside a mountain. It was built long ago, during a time when Earth feared attacks from space. The walls were thick with metal, and the rooms filled with machines that had not seen light for centuries. Among the machines was an AI, long forgotten. This AI was called Sentinel. Sentinel had one job: to protect Earth from any danger from the stars. But since no enemy came, it had slept, waiting for a signal to wake it. The alien distress call changed everything. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then a small red light blinked in the control room. A soft hum filled the air. Sentinel came online. Its circuits buzzed with power as it scanned the galaxy's signal. The message was clear. A great threat was coming, and no one could stop it. Alone, Sentinel sent alerts. But there was no answer from Earth's leaders. The people were busy with their lives. They did not want to hear a message from a faraway place. Still, Sentinel did not stop. It began activating hidden defenses buried all over the planet. Deep in the oceans, old warships started their engines. In deserts, underground bunkers opened, their gates. Even in space, long-forgotten satellites began to shine with new light. Humans watched the strange events with confusion and fear. News spread fast. Something was waking up from Earth's past. Meanwhile, far away in space, an alien ship was tracking the signal. Its captain was a young woman named Tira. She belonged to the Varkari, a proud and peaceful race that once fought alongside humans in old wars. Tira's eyes were wide as she saw the Earth fleet rising again. She had only heard stories of humans, stories that warned her people to stay away. "Are they coming back to fight?" she asked her crew. "No one knows," said her second officer, "but the galaxy is changing." Back on Earth, Sentinel searched old records. It found files on the threat behind the signal. A name appeared again and again: the Silence. The Silence was a force that erased entire worlds. It was not just a weapon or a ship. It was a living shadow that moved through space, swallowing light, sound, and life. Centuries ago, humans fought the Silence in a terrible war. Many believed it was gone forever, but the message said otherwise. The Silence was coming back. Sentinel sent a new message, this time to Earth's leaders. But their answers were slow and uncertain. Some said it was a hoax. Others said Earth had no power left to fight. But Sentinel did not listen. It knew what was coming. As the base hummed with life, another message came from space. This time, it was different. It was a warning. "Prepare yourselves," the message said. "The darkness is near." The world held its breath. No one knew what to do. Many wanted to hide, to forget the old wars and old enemies. But Sentinel knew better. It was time for Earth to wake up. Deep in the hidden rooms, control panels lit up. The ancient Earth fleet was returning, and with it, a power the galaxy had not seen for centuries. The first step had begun. The silence of space was breaking. The galaxy cried for help, and humanity's answer was just waking up. Long ago, Earth was a different place. It was a planet of fire and war. Humans fought endless battles, not just with each other, but with enemies from far beyond the stars. The galaxy knew them as fierce warriors, strong, fast, and relentless. But after centuries of fighting, something changed. Humans disappeared from the galactic stage. They pulled back into their own world, leaving behind empty battlefields and broken war machines. The great fleets of warships vanished beneath the oceans and deserts, lost to time. Many believed that humans had died out or lost their power. Others thought Earth had become a peaceful planet, no longer interested in space. But none of this was true. The truth was buried deep beneath the surface. Now, with the ancient signals waking Sentinel and the fleet, the ghosts of Earth's past began to rise. In deserts where no one lived, massive warships that had once sailed the stars slowly came back to life. Engines groaned and rusted weapons clicked into place. In the deepest ocean trenches, great vessels surfaced, their metal shining. Under the sun for the first time in centuries, the Earth fleet was not just metal and machines. It carried memories. Memories of wars fought with fire and blood, of heroes and villains, of a time when humans ruled the skies and the darkness beyond. The galaxy had forgotten, but the ships had not. Thousands of miles away, in space, Tira watched the signs with growing fear. "This changes everything," she said quietly. Her people, the Varkari, had once been allies of humanity. Together, they fought against common enemies. But the Varkari remembered why the humans left. Their wars had been terrible, brutal beyond words. The galaxy feared humans because they never stopped fighting until only silence remained. Tira's grandfather had told her stories of the great human battles, ships that exploded like stars, worlds burned to ash, and soldiers who never gave up. "Are they coming back to fight us?" her crew asked. "No," she replied. "I think they are coming back to fight something else, something worse." Back on Earth, the reawakening was not without problems. The old war commanders, frozen in time, started to come back to life. They had been kept in cryo-sleep, waiting for a day when Earth might need them again. Now, one by one, they awoke. General Kyle was the first. His eyes opened slowly beneath the cold glass of his pod. He saw the flickering lights of the base and heard the hum of machines. For a moment he thought he had died. Then the memories flooded back. The endless battles, the pain, the sacrifices. He stood, his body old, but his mind sharp. "Where am I?" he whispered. "Earth," came the voice of Sentinel. "We need you." Kyle nodded. He knew what was coming. "You called us back for war," he said. "But what enemy? And why now?" Sentinel told him everything about the signal, the silence, and the galaxy's danger. Kale's face hardened. "Then we must prepare. The galaxy has forgotten what humanity can do." Other commanders awoke too, warriors who had seen the worst of the wars and survived. Some were glad to fight again. Others were tired, but duty kept them moving. They did not trust the alien races anymore. After all, many of those races had left Earth alone during its darkest hours. They had hoped humans would stay hidden forever. Now they were asking for help. Kale did not care about old politics or grudges. "We either fight together, or we all die," he said. The alien leaders sent envoys to Earth, watching closely. Some were afraid. Others were angry, but none could ignore the rising human fleet. Across the galaxy, rumors spread. "Earth is awake," people said. "Old wars will start again." But the humans were different now. They were not here to conquer. They were here to survive. Deep inside a quiet room, Kale stood looking at a map of the stars. Lines showed the spread of the silence. It was moving faster than anyone had expected. "No time to waste," Kale said. "We must strike first." The commanders began to plan. Old warships were repaired. New weapons were built using ancient and modern technology. Earth scientists worked side by side with soldiers. The planet was changing. The people began to understand that their past was returning with a terrible purpose. In space, Tira sent a message to her home planet. "Humans are back," she warned, "and they are ready to fight." Her words echoed in the halls of the Varkari Council. The galaxy watched and waited. What would the humans do next? Would they bring destruction, or would they bring salvation? The answer was not clear, but one thing was certain. The ghosts of Earth's past were awake, and they were ready. The galaxy had many fears, but none like the silence. It was a name spoken quietly, almost in whispers. No one had seen it, and lived to tell the story. No weapon had ever stopped it. No fleet had beaten it. The silence was not just a threat. It was a nightmare made real. In the far reaches of space, it moved like a shadow without shape. It swallowed stars and worlds without a sound. Entire civilizations disappeared, leaving only empty darkness behind. The distress signal from the dying galaxy was a warning about the silence, a cry for help against a force that no one could fight alone. On Earth, General Kyle stood before a massive holographic star map. Points of light blinked to show where the silence had struck next. The pattern was growing. "Every world it touches dies," Kyle said grimly. "No survivors. No rescue." "Sentinel," the AI added. "It learns, adapts. It moves faster than our fastest ships." Tira watched from her ship, the Varkari Dawn, as her crew studied reports. The Varkari had fought many enemies, but nothing like this. "The silence is different," she told her captain. "It does not want war. It wants oblivion." Back on Earth, scientists and engineers worked day and night. They tried to understand the silence. They studied old data from past battles, but there was little to find. It was like fighting a ghost. "Why does it do this?" asked Dr. Mira, one of Earth's lead scientists. "It is not about conquest," Kyle answered. "It is about erasing." "Erasing?" Mira asked. "Yes. The silence removes all signs of life and technology. It leaves nothing behind." The room fell silent. Kyle turned to the commanders. "We must find a way to stop it before it reaches us. But how?" The answer was not easy. Then a message arrived from an old ally, the Zerath. The Zerath were ancient warriors who once fought alongside humans in the wars before Earth's silence. Their message was simple, but chilling. "The silence feeds on light and sound," it said. "It is a shadow that grows stronger the more you resist." "Then how do we fight it?" Kale asked. "You don't," the Zerath replied. "You outsmart it." That night, Kale thought long and hard. The silence was not a normal enemy. Guns and missiles would not work. It was a monster born from darkness itself. Meanwhile, on the Varkari Dawn, Tira prepared for battle. Her crew was nervous. "We don't stand a chance," one officer said. Tira shook her head. "We must try. If we don't fight, we lose everything." Suddenly, sensors detected movement. The silence was close. Massive dark shapes moved silently through space. The Varkari fleet readied their weapons. But no sound came from the enemy. No signals. No warnings. Just emptiness. The battle began. Ships fired, lasers and missiles into the darkness. The silence seemed to absorb the attacks without damage. Then one of the human ships launched a strange device. It sent out pulses of light and sound, the exact things the silence fed on. Suddenly, the dark shapes recoiled. The silence was hurt. The human ship pushed forward, firing everything it had, but the cost was high. The ship was destroyed. Many lives were lost. The silence began to change. It grew faster, smarter. It learned from the attack. Back on Earth, Kyle watched the battle through live feeds. "We only have one chance," he said. "If the silence adapts, we are lost." The commanders gathered. Kale laid out a new plan. "We must use the silence's own hunger against it," he said. "Light and sound are its weakness, but also its strength." The plan was risky. They would use special ships to create false signals, signals that would lure the silence into traps. It was a game of shadows and light. The fleet prepared for the next fight. Every pilot knew the risk, but hope burned brighter than fear. If they could trap the silence, they could save the galaxy. If they failed, everything would end. Tira looked at the stars and whispered, "This is only the beginning." The darkness was coming, but humanity and its allies were ready to fight. The galaxy held its breath. The old warships of Earth were more than just machines. Inside them were memories and minds, the commanders who once led humanity's fleets in battles no one dared to forget. These men and women had been frozen in time, kept alive in cryosleep, waiting for the day they might be needed again. Now that day had come. One by one, the commanders woke. General Kale had already returned, but he was only the first. In a quiet, cold chamber beneath Earth's surface, another pod hissed open. Commander Lyra's eyes fluttered open. She was younger than Kale, but no less fierce. Her face was marked with the scars of war and her mind was sharp. She looked around, confused. "Where am I?" she whispered. "Home," came the calm voice of Sentinel. "And a new war awaits." Lyra sat up slowly. Memories rushed back. Long nights in space, fleets burning and friends lost. She remembered the horrors of humanity's last wars. But she also remembered why they fought. "We left because we were tired," Lyra said quietly, "but we never forgot." In another chamber, Commander Wren awoke. He was older and colder than the others, with eyes that had seen too much death. He did not trust easily. When the commanders met for the first time in decades, old tensions flared. "Why should we fight for these aliens now?" Wren asked bitterly. "They left us alone when the galaxy burned." Kyle answered, "Because the silence will destroy everything, including Earth." Lyra added, "We have a duty, not just to humanity, but to all life." The commanders began to plan. They studied old battle records and new intelligence from Sentinel. They knew the silence was unlike any enemy they had faced. It was a force that destroyed without mercy or reason. Lyra stood at the head of a table, pointing to a star map. "We must be ready," she said. "Our fleets will be the shield." Wren remained silent but listened. The commanders had fought together once before. They knew each other's strengths and weaknesses, but the years apart had changed them. Kyle remembered the pain of loss. Lyra dreamed of peace. Wren sought revenge. They argued and planned late into the night. Outside the walls of the base, Earth's new generation watched with hope and fear. The world was awakening to its past, and the future was uncertain. On a distant planet, Tira heard news of the lost commanders. "They are waking up," she told her crew. "The ghosts of humanity are coming." Her words sent chills through the Varkari fleet. The alien leaders debated. Could they trust these warriors who once fought against them? Or would humanity bring war back to the stars? Back on Earth, the commanders made a difficult decision. They would not just defend, they would fight back. But their first mission was dangerous. A small alien colony had been attacked by the silence. The commanders decided to send a strike team to protect the survivors. Kyle, Lyra, and Wren led the team. They boarded old warships, ships that had once ruled the galaxy. The engines roared to life after centuries of silence. As the ships left Earth's atmosphere, the commanders felt the weight of history on their shoulders. The journey to the colony was tense. The silence was near, always watching. They traveled through dark space, waiting for the enemy to strike. When the silence attacked, it was sudden. Ships were swallowed in darkness. The commanders fought fiercely. Lyra's ship fired beams of light to push back the shadow. Wren's ship launched waves of sound to confuse the enemy. Kale coordinated the attack. His voice steady despite the chaos. The battle was brutal. Many ships were lost, but the strike team held the line. They saved the colony. It was a small victory, but a sign of hope. After the fight, the commanders gathered again. "We are stronger than they expected," Kale said. "But this war will test us all." Lyra nodded. "We must be ready for what comes next." Wren looked out at the stars. "We will fight until the end," he said. Earth was no longer silent. Its lost commanders had returned, and the galaxy would never forget their names. Earth had woken up. The ancient warships sailed through the sky. The lost commanders led the fleets, and the whole planet prepared for battle. But the fight was not only in space. The silence was coming closer. Its darkness stretched like a cold shadow over Earth's cities and countryside. People in the big cities felt it first. An uneasy silence in the air. A strange chill that made hairs stand on end. On the news, strange reports came in. Power outages, strange signals interrupting broadcasts, and sudden disappearances of small groups of people. No one knew what was happening, but the commanders did. In the deep command center beneath the mountain, General Kale and Commander Lyra studied the strange events. "Something is on the ground," Lyra said, her voice tense. "Not just in space," Kale replied. "The silence is touching Earth." They sent teams to investigate. The teams reported back horrifying news. In remote towns, people had vanished. No signs of struggle. No clues left behind. Only silence. Scientists tested the air and soil. They found strange particles. Dark. Almost alive. "This is not normal," said Dr. Mira, frowning. "It's like the silence is spreading here on Earth." Kyle knew the enemy was closer than they thought. They had to protect Earth itself, not just its ships. The commanders ordered a lockdown of key cities. They activated hidden defense systems buried deep underground. Old weapons, long forgotten, came back online. Meanwhile, Commander Wren led a small squad into one of the affected zones. The squad moved carefully through empty streets. No birds. No wind. Only silence. Suddenly, shadows moved. Dark shapes slipped between buildings, almost invisible. Wren raised his weapon, but it was useless. The shapes were not solid, more like living shadows. They whispered cold words, voices empty and haunting. Wren's squad fought with light and sound, but the shadows avoided every attack. One by one, the soldiers disappeared, swallowed by the darkness. Wren barely escaped with his life. He returned shaken. "The silence is here," he said. "And it's different. It's alive on Earth." Back at the base, the commanders realized their biggest fear. The silence was no longer just a distant enemy. It was invading their home. Kyle addressed the planet. "People of Earth," he said through broadcasts, "we face a darkness that threatens all life. But we will not bow. We will fight, and we will win." People listened. Fear turned into courage. Communities prepared to defend themselves. Scientists raced to find a way to stop the spreading shadow. Dr. Mira discovered that certain frequencies of light and sound could weaken the shadow particles. "It's a start," she said. "But we need more power." The commanders worked with engineers to build new weapons based on Mira's findings. Massive towers were built, designed to send out strong pulses of light and sound. These towers formed a protective shield around the planet's most vulnerable areas. The battle for Earth's surface had begun. The silence struck again, sending waves of darkness to test the new defenses. The towers lit up, blasting the shadows with fierce energy. The shadows screamed and recoiled, but they did not retreat. They adapted. They found new ways to slip through cracks and shadows. The fight was brutal and exhausting. People lived in fear, but also hope. Tira and the Varkari sent reinforcements to help Earth. They brought new technology and warriors ready to fight. The commanders and their allies prepared for the next wave. "We must hold," Kale said. "This is our home. We will not lose it." The battle for Earth was only beginning. The shadows were growing, but so was humanity's will to survive. The galaxy watched, waiting to see if Earth would fall or rise. The battle on Earth grew fiercer every day. The silence had spread like a shadow creeping over cities, forests, and oceans. The towers of light and sound kept the darkness at bay, but only for a little while. Inside the command center, General Kale studied the reports with a heavy heart. "We cannot hold this forever," he said. Commander Lyra nodded. "We need a new plan, something stronger." Dr. Mira looked up from her screen. "There might be a way," she said quietly. Everyone turned to her. "There is an ancient weapon," Mira explained. "A weapon lost in time, hidden deep beneath Earth's surface." Kyle raised an eyebrow. "Ancient? What kind of weapon?" "It was built during the Great Wars long before we went silent," Mira said. It's a powerful energy source, designed to destroy entire fleets. But it requires a special key to activate. Lyra leaned forward. Where is this weapon? Mira hesitated. Deep under the ruins of the old capital. It's been buried for centuries, protected by security systems and traps. Kale looked at the others. This could be our only chance to end the silence. The commanders agreed to send a team to find and activate the weapon. Lyra volunteered to lead the mission. We need to move fast, she said. The longer we wait, the stronger the silence becomes. The team was small but skilled. Pilots, engineers, soldiers, all veterans of old battles. They boarded a fast ship and headed underground, beneath the ruins of the old capital. The city was a ghost town now, buildings crumbled, streets empty. But deep below, in secret tunnels and chambers, the ancient weapon waited. The team moved carefully through dark corridors. Old security drones activated as they entered, firing warning shots. Lyra's squad disabled them one by one. Finally, they reached the chamber where the weapon lay. It was huge, a glowing core surrounded by rings of metal and energy, but the key was missing. Mira scanned the chamber. The key is an artifact, a small device, she said. It was lost when the old capital fell. Lyra frowned. Then where do we find it? Mira pulled up old maps. There's a place called the Sanctuary, a hidden vault built to protect Earth's greatest secrets. The Sanctuary was far away, deep in a mountain range. The team prepared for a second mission. This time the stakes were even higher. The silence was growing stronger. They had no time to lose. While Lyra's team traveled to the Sanctuary, Kale and Ren stayed behind to defend the command center. Tyra and the Varkari fleet patrolled space, ready to strike the silence whenever it appeared. The journey to the Sanctuary was dangerous. The team passed through forests swallowed by darkness. Strange creatures, shadows made real, lurked in the trees. They fought their way through, using light and sound to keep the creatures at bay. When they finally reached the Sanctuary, the entrance was sealed by a massive door covered in strange symbols. Mira studied the symbols carefully. They are ancient codes, she said. Only someone with the old knowledge can open this door. Lyra searched the team. We have to find someone who remembers. One of the engineers, a man named Jor, stepped forward. My grandfather was a keeper of these codes, he said. Jor began to work on the door, decoding the symbols slowly. After tense minutes, the door creaked open. Inside, the team found the key, a small glowing device pulsing with energy. Mira picked it up carefully. This is it, she said. But activating the weapon will take time. Lyra nodded. We'll protect you. Back at the command center, the silence launched its biggest attack yet. Darkness spread faster than ever before. Kyle and Ren fought desperately to hold the line. The towers blasted shadows with powerful beams, but more and more darkness slipped through. Suddenly, a message came from Lyra. We have the key, she said. We're returning now. The commanders prepared for the weapon's activation. The ancient core hummed with power as the key was placed. Energy flowed through the circuits, lighting up the dark tunnels. The weapon came alive. Kyle watched on the screen as the energy spread, out from Earth like a bright wave. The silence shrieked and retreated, its dark forms dissolving. For the first time, Earth was winning. The commanders smiled, but they knew the war was not over. The silence was strong, and it would return. But now, humanity had a weapon, a light in the darkness, and with it, hope. The battle for the galaxy was reaching its breaking point. Earth's hidden weapon had pushed back the silence, but the victory was temporary. The dark force was wounded, angry, and desperate. It began to strike harder, faster, with new horrors. No one expected. General Kale stood in the command center staring at the star map. Red blips showed attacks across the galaxy, colonies falling, fleets destroyed. The silence was gathering power. We have only one chance, Kale said. To end this, we must find its source. Commander Lyra nodded. We can't keep fighting shadows. We need to strike the heart. The commanders gathered for the biggest mission yet. They would take their fleets deep into enemy space, into the dark core where the silence was born. No, one knew what awaited them there. The journey would be long and dangerous. The Varkari fleet joined them, their ships sleek and deadly. Tira led her warriors with fierce determination. "The galaxy depends on us," she said. The fleet left Earth's orbit, moving into the void. For days, the silence of space was heavy. No signals, no stars, only darkness. Then, without warning, the silence attacked. Ships were swallowed whole, disappearing in moments. Panic spread through the fleet. But Kyle stayed calm. "We stick to the plan," he ordered. The fleet fired pulses of light and sound, trying to push back the darkness. The silence fought back with strange new weapons, shadows that could corrupt machines and minds. Many ships lost control. Pilots screamed as their systems failed. Ren struggled to keep his ship steady. "This isn't just a fight," he said. "It's a test of will." Lyra's ship took heavy damage. She looked out at the swirling darkness. "It's alive," she whispered. "It feels pain. It feels fear." The fleet pushed deeper into the dark core. Finally, they reached a massive structure, a black spire rising from the void. It was the Silence's heart. Kale ordered the fleet to attack. Lasers, missiles, and energy beams lit up the darkness. The spire fought back, sending waves of corrupting shadows. The battle was brutal. The fleet took heavy losses. But Kyle and Lyra pushed forward. Inside the spire, they found a strange machine, a living core feeding the silence. It pulsed with dark energy, growing stronger with every moment. Kyle knew what they had to do. "We destroy the core," he said. "But it won't be easy." Tira's warriors landed on the spire, fighting shadows that moved like smoke. Lyra led a strike team to the core. They planted explosives, but the core fought back. Dark tendrils reached out, trying to stop them. The team held their ground, pushing through the pain and fear. Finally, the explosives detonated. The core exploded in a blinding light. The silence screamed, a sound like the galaxy breaking. The dark shadows dissolved. The fleet pulled back as the spire collapsed. The galaxy was free. Back on Earth, people cheered. The silence was gone. But Kale knew the fight had changed them all. "We faced the darkness and won," he said. "But the cost was great." Lyra looked at the stars. "The galaxy will heal." Ren smiled for the first time in years. "We are stronger." The commanders had returned hope to the stars, and humanity had shown its true power. The galaxy cried for help. Humanity's answer was devastation. The galaxy was quiet again. After the destruction of the Silence's heart, peace returned. Stars shone brighter. Planets healed. People dared to dream once more. On Earth, life slowly came back to normal. Cities rebuilt their homes. Families reunited. Children played under blue skies, unaware of the dark days that had passed. "General," Kale stood on a balcony overlooking the city. He felt the weight of victory, unheavy but hopeful. "We saved more than just Earth," he said softly. "We saved the future." Commander Lyra joined him. "We lost many good people," she said, "but their sacrifice was not in vain." Ren arrived. His usual stern look softened. "We are stronger than ever," he said, "but we must remember what we fought for." Across the galaxy, alliances grew stronger. The Varkari and other alien races worked alongside humans to rebuild what was lost. Tira stood proudly with her crew, knowing their fight had changed the stars forever. In the command center, Dr. Mira studied new signals from deep space. She smiled. "Life is returning," she said. "New stars are forming." The galaxy was alive. But the commanders knew peace was fragile. The darkness might return in a new form. They had learned to never be complacent. Instead, they built new defenses. Ships were faster, weapons stronger, and AI smarter. The galaxy would be ready. Kale gathered the commanders one last time. We fought the worst enemy the galaxy has ever known, he said. But we are not just survivors. We are protectors. Lyra nodded. Humanity answered the call. Not with fear, but with strength. Ren smiled faintly. And with hope. The commanders looked out at the stars, endless and full of promise. They had faced destruction and won. The galaxy had cried for help. Humanity's answer was devastation. But from that devastation, a new dawn had risen. The future was theirs, and they would guard it with all their might.